Like a lot of Ukrainian women just try and get a guy to get them to America. Am I right?
I mean, I don't like that so much hearing because it's about my country. It's kind of same stereotypes like many people think that American is so stupid.
Ouch. Yeah, it's kind of in the same ballpark, right? The star power of being American, like I have a friend used to joke that he was Frank from California. And it worked. He used to get automatic perceived value, like girls would be interested in that, it's close to a decade ago. But nowadays, it just doesn't make any difference. In fact, it could even be a disadvantage. Privyet, greetings from Odessa in Ukraine, just down here on the port of Odessa near to sunset. It's mid-September and this summer just keeps rolling on, although the sun has gone a little bit behind some light clouds, so probably reasonably good light to shoot this video. And back by popular demand is my review of the American TV serial 90 Days Fiancé and the couples involved who are normally North American men with Eastern European women. That is the kind of profile that, of course, works best on my channel compared to the other nationalities. And this is a first of a two-part series because in the next podcast, I'm going to review another couple. But in today's one, we're going to start with Jovi, the Cajun from Louisiana, and Yara from Kiev, this country, Ukraine. We're going to analyze just a few clips out of the series. You can go and look, obviously, online. So the three couples from last year that I reviewed, also down in links in the description to this video. If you haven't seen them and you are interested in the series. So let me start. What is 90 Day Fiancé? Well, the name comes from the fact that you have a visa in the US that a lot of couples, international couples, use because it allows the foreigner, so it can be the woman from Eastern Europe or the guy from Eastern Europe as well if he's marrying an American woman, or is it dating an American woman. They get to live in America for 90 days. It's a pretty easy visa to get compared to the other visa options to bring a partner across the US if you're not married. But then they only have 90 days to decide, are they going to get married or not? So it's all pretty dramatic because you got 3 months. And a lot of times, obviously, people don't really know each other that well before they go to live with each other. And it can turn into a big melodrama, which is why there is a successful TV series. Now, of course, this is reality TV. They're following them around to kind of have an interest in making it more melodramatic than it might otherwise be, so always bear that in mind. But I'm just going to focus on a few clips from this couple because I think they're very illustrative of the real world, real life problems that you might face with this kind of setup. So let's dive into the couple, who they are, their backgrounds, and what transpires in these few clips.
I'm getting pretty nervous. I just want to start everything off good. I want her on day number 1. I want her to get a good feel for the city. I want her to like it. I want her to like my friends. I feel like I'm taking a huge risk, If Yara and I don't work out, I'll be devastated.
So the groom-to-be is Jovi. He is a young, happy-go-lucky guy from Louisiana, which is in the south of the United States of America, obviously. And he is engaged to Yara from Kiev. So a little bit interesting about Yara because they did do some research about her. She was on some reality TV here in Ukraine a few years ago and she looked dramatically different. So she's had a lot of cosmetic surgery done, allegedly. So that's also something maybe as an aside to think about. If you're with someone who has a lot of plastic surgery, what will your kids look like? Just have a little think about it. But anyways, that's not the main dish of today's video. Let's get into it.
Finally.
Jovi, can you just stop away? But stop somewhere.
Good to finally.
My name is Yara. I'm 25 years old from Kiev, Ukraine.
Good to see you.
Hurrah! Viva to America!
So how are we feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good. I'm happy she's finally arrived. It's been a long time waiting, so I'm happy she's here.
Good. How should you feel a person who flies 30 hours? Feel tired. I feel tired. I don't feel excited. I just feel tired. That's how I feel. That's all. Why is such a long flight? Is the flight so long because Jovi it's economic. He loves to keep his money.
Okay, there she introduces herself. She's 25 years of age, and she's from Kiev, the capital of Ukraine. Looks pretty good. I have to say, everything in the right place there. She's above average looking for Ukrainian, regardless of whether she's surgery or not. Definitely the results are there to see.
Yara, what do you love most about Jovi?
I don't know what exactly I love about Jovi. I mean, he have a cool body. Not now, before.
So two quick observations. She's nagging quite a bit already. So maybe that's maybe not a red flag, but a yellow flag. And then the big red flag for me already is that she cannot rationalize why she's attracted to Jovi. She says, yeah, he had a good body, that he was fit, athletic. But if you're aware of your educated on the preferences of Eastern European women and seeing some of my content, I often joke about, well, it's not really a joke, it's actually serious, that it's not a very high priority for Ukrainian women to talk about the guy's looks. It's less of a priority is going to be in the West. They have a saying here in Russian that a man, мужчина должен быть немного красивее, чем обезьяна. A man must be a little bit more handsome than a monkey. So that's the bar. So the fact that she can't really rationalize, it doesn't mean it has to be actually the real reason why she's attracted to him, but she cannot even rationalize ahead why she's attracted to him. And then she gives a very, lame kind of reason, like he used to be. It's already a red flag about how she feels, and she's just arrived in the US. So let's see how it all develops.
So I downloaded a travel app to start to meet people, and one day I met a girl named Yara. She's 25 years old from Kiev, Ukraine. Yara's a very beautiful girl. She turns heads when she walks in the street. So we started talking like quite a bit and realized we like a lot of the same things. We both like beaches, we both like to scuba dive, we both like to travel. So next time off, I decided I was gonna meet this girl in Budapest.
So there you see that he's met her on a travel app, so something that's, I'm trying to think of the name of I think there's actually one called Travel Girls. The CEO of that, he actually reached out to me once, that's why I had seen it before, but I was aware of it. And it's girls who want to go traveling, and they're basically just looking for someone to travel with and pay for it. So there could have been that app and he didn't want to say it. But she does have kind of the profile there. It seems to me a little bit of the travel girl. Like their interests are traveling. That's their initial interest. But most people who are, flying around the world are obviously interested in travel. Most women here are interested in travel. It's kind of like almost a cold read. Say, do you like traveling? So, anyways, he flew her out to Budapest, and they had a little bit of fun together, apparently.
I had zero expectations going to meet her for the first time. I was definitely not looking at this as I was meeting my future wife. I was thinking I was having a 2-day fling with a Ukrainian woman in Budapest. The first night was really awkward. I didn't know what to say to her. She didn't know what to say to me. We come from two completely different cultures. After a couple glasses of wine, next thing you know, we hooked up, had really good sex. Things got better from that point, of course.
So that's a good illustration of what I talked about actually in the last podcast about how you can use Instagram, and a lot of guys, they fly out girls to other places based on the value that they build there. So in that video, I actually referred to one of my clients who had done that. Now, he did do it a few times, and it's good that he didn't have any expectations, because that is the right way to approach it. When you meet up with someone, a lot of girls just see it as a date. They don't feel like they're obliged to do anything, even though you're flying them to another country and obviously paying. There's kind of the rule of thumb that you're paying for everything. But definitely don't go to expectations. In my client's experience, he did it a few times, and once nothing happened. And the other 2 times something did. I think it was 3 times he did it. Pretty high probability if you fly someone out to Budapest, you're probably going to hook up, or something intimate is going to happen. You'd have to be asking questions why it wouldn't, especially if you spend a few days with a person. Probably better to put them back on the plane. Now, that's no substitute, obviously, to coming and spending lots of time in Ukraine or in Russia or in Belarus or Moldova, somewhere else in the former Soviet Union, because then obviously you're going to just linearly over time have a lot more opportunities. But it is something that in this world of Instagram and apps, dating apps, that has become a lot more popular. And definitely watch that other vodcast if you're interested in learning more and you haven't seen it already, because it'll be very eye-opening for you. And it's important to have a good, strong frame if you're going to do that, because otherwise you're going to be put into the simp box and end up just being used emotionally, financially, and time-wise. Jovi here, he seems to have had a good frame. He didn't have high expectations to fly her out. Let's see if it works out. If not, he was going to fly on somewhere else. So actually pretty good by him. So that's the first point that I want to just highlight, how he met her and how that is possible today with apps and stuff. There you can see she is an attractive woman for sure, even by Ukrainian standards. And she's just going on to some app. Very simple. So you will find some beautiful women on those apps. You will not find them at a marriage agency, at a matchmaker, unless they got some psychological problem, because why don't they have other options? Why would they need to invest so much to go to a matchmaker? Fine if the woman is, 35 years old or plus and single mom, then she would have the incentive to do that because she probably doesn't have great options otherwise, so she might want to invest in that to find a father for her children. That's perfectly fine if you're the type of guy who wants to take on that responsibility, of course. But in general, you will not find beautiful women on a website for a matchmaker. That would be rather odd that they would do that. And normally what happens is you have these PPL sites, paper letter, where it's actually the profile of a beautiful girl, but you are not talking to the girl and you're paying per each message you write. And then eventually, if you ever come over, she might show up and just sit there with an interpreter, of course, who you're paying for, and just basically make you pay for lots of stuff. But it's just basically a job if it's a PPL site, so paper letter site. So if you are online, you are talking to someone and paying for the correspondence, get off it. If you really, really, really want to have someone convince you, like all the videos on YouTube telling you that you are not talking to that person, I actually even saw the terms and conditions of one of these PPL sites, and they actually wrote out in detail let's just call it what it is, the scam, that you mightn't be talking to the woman that you believe, or the person whose profile it is, and they may be actually paying an interpreter, and they may be actually paying the girl to talk to you. And then you have to click and say you accept that that's part of it. Well, like, would you really sign that contract if you were thinking about it? Hey, imagine it was for the hotel in front of me, and they said $100 million, but you have to accept that we mightn't be the owners, and you might actually get to keep the hotel, but you want to give us $100 million, you would never sign that contract. So bottom line, if you're on any of those websites, repair per message or anything, get off them. But if my pleas here don't convince you, well, down below is a link to my consulting, and we can set up a call for half an hour, and I can walk you through each step so that you can recognize that you are basically being fleeced out of your money and you're not legitimately talking. How do I know this? My own girlfriend receives at least one message per week, offering her $1,000 to $2,000 just for the rights to her photos. She doesn't even have to talk to you, never or send you messages or anything, just the rights to her photos as a model. So that's basically what they will put there in the site, and they make you tick. All they guarantee, a lot of them, is that it's actually a real person who agreed to be on the site. Anyways, get off that. And in general, if you see someone like Yara, in terms of looks and whatnot, and she's on some romance tour site or matchmaking site, 25, no kids, well above average looking, even for Ukraine, why the hell would she be on a marriage agency site? Think about it. Let's get into the next big thing, I think, from this particular couple. This is really interesting.
Did you ever think you'd be in America?
It was her dream before she got here, I think.
So here we have a very common stereotype, and I think it's more from people who've never actually been to Ukraine. Like, she's from Ukraine, so we're just going to stick with Ukraine. In the last, say, decade. Now, in the early 90s, America, that was a huge dream, because here the economy collapsed, there was turmoil, and basically it sucked to be here. The standard of living collapsed, plummeted, and women had few options, so they couldn't travel freely either to, say, Schengen or the Middle East like they can today from Ukraine without a visa. So getting to go to America did have a lot of value, was very attractive. But that's not the case today. I have another podcast about the things that have changed in the last 10 years. Definitely worth you watching that, because you're going to see how Ukraine itself has changed pretty dramatically. Linked it up again in the card down below in the description. You'll see why that's not the case today. Also, I talked about why you need to move here to meet the beautiful women. There you see Jovi did meet her by using the site, this travel site, but the best way to do it in general is to actually move to Ukraine or spend a lot of time here. I have another podcast about that. Just up above in a card and down below in the description. And let's deal with this stereotype. And you can see him and his family made this joke about, well, it's their dream, right? So how does Yara react?
That was never my dream.
What, to come to America?
Yes. Why do you think that was my dream?
Because everybody from Ukraine wants to come to America.
Oh, Juvie.
So there, she dispels that reason why she's come. She was not her dream to come to America.
Like a lot of Ukrainian women just try and get a guy to get them to America. Am I right?
I mean, I don't like that so much hearing because it's about my country. It's kind of same stereotypes like many people think that American is so stupid.
Ouch. Yeah, it's kind of in the same ballpark, right? So there are, of course, some women that dream of going to America still. I think they're a fraction of the number that would have thought that way even 10 years ago, never mind 25 years ago. And yeah, there are some Americans who are super stupid, and it is a stereotype, but anyone who's been to America knows that's not really representative of Americans either. It's a little bit of a, stereotype that, there's a little bit of truth, but not really the case.
Jovie's parents tell him a little bit about Ukrainian girls, that in Ukrainian girls is so much trick and want to get to America. It's not true.
So you said it wasn't your dream to come to America. So after y'all get married, do y'all plan to stay in America?
Honestly, it's hard to say, but I'm really not sure. For me, it would be nice to live somewhere like Budapest because it's so close to my mom.
Exactly. Ukrainians in general, they don't really want to move too far away from their family, from their parents. So something like Budapest, of course, Ukrainians are visa-free to travel there. It's pretty close. It's maybe a bit over an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours from Kiev. So her family could actually fly there pretty quickly. And obviously, if she was living in Budapest, they could fly also to Kiev to get her quite regularly. So that is actually a lot more attractive than moving all the way over to Louisiana, which obviously is quite a trek to see family and friends. So definitely, this is a lot more common in Ukraine today as a desire than actually moving to America, in my experience here and with clients.
Does that concern you, Gwen?
Does that concern me?
Yeah.
Yes.
She wants to go to another country and move Jovie to another country. So that's a problem for us. Also, in the future, if they have kids, I mean, it's going to be hard for us to see our grandkids.
I am afraid that once they get married, she's got that hold and she will take him away from us.
Imagine. You can come a few times per year, is even more time we can spend.
I don't want him living in Europe.
I told her we need to take one step at a time. It's too early, I think, for her to make a judgment about New Orleans or Louisiana or America in general. I don't want to move to you. Especially don't want to move somewhere where it's cold.
So you can see the parents' reaction to find out that the stereotype they thought that she just wanted to get to America and the grandkids would be there in Louisiana all the time. Not actually the case. Now they're actually going to have a decision to make. Do they really support them getting married? They were skeptical, or they had an issue with the relationship for a completely different reason than they should have been, which is the fact that they will be living in Europe and not in the States. So quite interesting.
Because it will be not comfortable for me. If you want, you can go alone.
Oh, yeah,
Your ways is over, and door is always open, and I always can go back to Ukraine.
Oh, you want to go back to Ukraine already?
I mean, like I can. Like it's not.
You want to?
Why not? Ukraine is not such a bad country for going back.
Not such a good one either.
Not such a. But you want to say America is the best country in the world, or what? You
Better
please
than Ukraine.
No, in the world, which way is better? Please stop to say that.
There you see, she lays it out straight. Ukraine is not that bad a country, and she's willing to get on the plane and go back home without really a problem. Yeah, that just kind of re-emphasized that the star power of being American. Like, I have a friend who used to joke that he was Frank from California, and it worked. He used to get automatic perceived value, like girls would be interested in that, it's close to a decade ago, but nowadays, it just doesn't make any difference. In fact, it could even be a disadvantage, right? Because if you don't live in Ukraine or you don't live in Europe and you're just in for a 2-week trip, then yeah, does she really want to move all the way to America? And she can find lots of guys who live a lot closer to home. So just something to be aware of. That stereotype really doesn't doesn't hold true nowadays.
Jovi. Before Mila was born, I was really worried that Jovi's not growing up enough to have Mila, and now I see that actually I was freaking right.
So in the interim, they actually have a child together. And yeah, that kind of solidifies everything. She's going to have a child together, they get married. But fast forward onto, like, I'm making this video in September 2021 and new developments. I remember right back at the start of the video, I talked about that she couldn't rationalize why she was attracted to Jovi. I saw it as a big red flag. Now let's see at what stage they're at, even with the bond of having a child together.
I expected you would be always in a good mood. You'd be excited when I came home from work. You would get out, you would make friends, and you would be happy.
Dude, this
That's
is
the complete
life.
opposite.
No так рабочий.
Everything changed when you got to America.
Of course, because it's a different country, and now it's everything new. I am new too, and you need to respect that and accept that. And if you don't want to accept the way I am, go find your wife.
Why can't you be the same person who I was with before?
Maybe that will be more
I don't know why
fun.
you changed so much.
I can tell you, if you don't like me, if everything you think is so bad about me, do not be with me. I am not hold you. Don't want you, go find somebody else. Maybe there you will be more happy. If come to this point that when you at work, I don't see you all this time because you are working, and then when you come home, we're just fighting. For me, it's better to, why would we stay together? It's just toxic relationship. I don't want for my daughter to grow up on all this.
So there you see, relationship already looks on the rocks. She's had the child, doesn't really find the relationship working between them, and she's pretty much prepared to end it, which kind of goes against the stereotype a lot of these dodgy marriage agencies try to propagate, that all women here are traditional wives, and that they just want to find a good man and settle down and kind of worship him and cook and clean for him. Girls with Yara's profile, they're not like that whatsoever. I mean, there was a guy on my one of my online programs, and he summed up quite nicely. He said, there's no girl in the world with a smartphone and access to the internet who's traditional, and that's definitely the case. So it doesn't look very good for Jovi, but this is quite typical. You have to remember, Ukraine also has a divorce rate of between 50 and 60%. And unlike in America, where, you know, for the socioeconomic partner in the marriage who earns a lot less, who's a lot lower, there's a big incentive to divorce because they can acquire the wealth and get alimony and you know, child support and whatnot very easily, and it's very favorable in North America compared to, and lots of parts of Western Europe compared to Eastern Europe, where it's, other than the marital assets been divided up 50-50, there isn't very much child support or alimony here. But I still have a divorce rate between 50 and 60%. So when the going gets tough, the Ukrainian girls get going. That's basically the bottom line. And it looks like another case of it here. So now he has a child. He's going to have a big issue, of course, if she leaves and brings the child with him back to Ukraine, or wants to do that.
I don't want to be with anybody else. I want to be with you. We have a daughter to raise together now. I want to make changes. I want everything to be good.
Jovi, I'm telling you now, if you want for our relationship is work, you need to stop this freaking party animal life. You need to stop to go to the club. You need to stop to do all of this stuff.
I want to be a good husband. I want to be a good father, and I want everything to work out for us. But I'm not going to change my personality. I'm not going to change who I am. That's it, plain and simple. There's only so much I can do and so much I can give up to make this work. Like, can we figure this out? Can we compromise? Can we both get what we want and have a healthy family for our child? I don't know what's going to happen.
So that looks pretty ominous for Jovi and potentially access to his child in the future, because Yara does not seem like she is willing to compromise unless he gives in, he capitulates. Then if it's not on her terms, she might be leaving. So that is a fun, I think, overview of that particular couple in terms of looking at the dynamics of the relationship and a lot of differences and stereotypes, you know, with Eastern European women like Yara from Kiev and American men, and how that, you know, you really need to dispel all those kind of myths in order to make the relationship work. And you really need to be avoiding the biggest mistakes, like not realizing that most Ukrainian women don't actually want to leave and go to Ukraine. It's a pretty big thing not to understand. If you're, you know, meeting someone in Budapest, it didn't seem like he might not actually have ever been to Ukraine. and have met someone in Budapest, or met her online and brought her to Budapest, and then be flying her to, maybe has been to Ukraine, but definitely is not very familiar with the culture. Even though he had a pretty strong frame, Jovi, when he actually invited her, that was good. But yeah, he seems to have been a bit naive about how the dynamics would work, because he thought, oh, she's going to America, that's all she wants, and I'm her card to be there. Well, green card girls, they are even more problematic, because once they get the green card, then they're definitely out of there, and that is something that we're going to discuss in the next podcast with the next couple. But in the meantime, if you're not on my free mailing list, where I release and announce all my new programs and coaching options, then make sure you are. And to incentivize you, I have a free checklist, 5 biggest mistakes made by Western guys when they come here to Eastern Europe to date local women. Definitely don't want to be making any of those. The one, it's not actually on the list, the stereotype about America not having the value it did. That's in, of course, other podcasts and in this one. But definitely make sure you're on that. It's a no-brainer. It's free, and you can avoid the biggest mistakes when you come here. And, I'm just about to relaunch my premium online program, Slavic Seduction Secrets Ukraine. I'll also put a link to that down below. Start again on September 22nd. First live stream, gonna be big. Always excited to get you guys into the program and to work on bringing them up to speed with the differences here in the dating culture and seeing them succeed later on when they come here to Ukraine, Belarus, or Russia and Moldova. So that is today's video. The sun is setting on the horizon. It's a Sunday here, and lots of people around. It's kind of might be the last warm Sunday here in September, mid-September, in Odessa, in Ukraine this season. Let's see if I get to shoot any more videos outside wearing a t-shirt. Do побачення, до свидання. See you very soon in the next video.
SAR Experience.